Okay, welcome. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the roommate economy. This thing that I call roommate economy. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Let's start by the basics. Well, what I mean by roommate economy is the current economy we're living in and how, at least for Gen Z, how it is operating. I would say this also applies to millennials, but mostly to Gen Z actually. The roomie economy basically says that whatever salary you have, you're gonna be living with your roommates, most likely, at least in most cases. This does not only apply for underemployment or self-employment, it also applies for corporate jobs and other kind of jobs. This form of this way of living actually has been very incentivized by many people that have power actually, mainly because of climate change and that kind of things. Why? Well, I believe it is because of climate change. The thing about building new apartments and houses and all of that is that it emits CO2. So, if you want to basically reduce the amount of CO2 you emit to the atmosphere, guess what? You have to basically build a lot less. But of course, this takes a lot of people to be living with people that they don't want to live with. Basically living alone nowadays, it's becoming a luxury because you cannot live alone without emitting more CO2, so I think this is on purpose. I honestly believe this is on purpose, and that we're living in a society in which we're incentivized to be living with roommates. The funny thing about that is that sometimes people don't live with roommates, but they live with their parents. So it's basically the same thing. Like, you could think of your parents as your roommates. The same thing, it's even more funny, with a partner. If you have a partner, I know a lot of people actually want to live with other partners. Of course, it's only natural, but the funny thing about this is that that's another thing. Basically, living with a partner actually is a form of living with a roommate. And I think with this society, like salaries, even if they do not change like in numbers, with inflation and all of that, they actually do change, and we get to live in a society in which living alone is becoming more unaffordable because, climate change and how society works. I think like what they're trying to do, the people in charge and in power, is that they're trying to create a society like this so we emit less CO2, and that's why culture has been changing so much in recent years. You can notice that if you look at the news, and not only news, culture literally is everywhere, so you're gonna notice one way or another. That's why it's very incentivized, and it's the media tries to make it look as if it is cool. Oh yeah, it's so great, let's go to university and have roommates, and the room. No. There was some YouTuber that I used to watch his podcasts, that he said something that very resonated with this thought that I've been having. It's about the roommate economy, and how basically your roommates are like a cellmates. Like you're sharing that with people that you do not want to share. You're sharing your privacy. That's another thing. I know some people actually know about this, some others don't, but the WEF actually talked about this, and I didn't understand it until recently. You will have no privacy. But I think many people actually don't understand it or misunderstood it. It's not only about having no privacy online, that's something as well, but it's also about having no privacy in real life. And what does that mean? You're gonna be living with roommates. You're gonna share a room with other people to live, because everything is gonna become ridiculously expensive. And by everything I mean mostly rents, okay? We're not taking into account buying houses nowadays because, this economy just doesn't allow it. And I don't think this is gonna get better with the years, honestly. I try to be positive, but as how things work and how I've been noticing how things work, I honestly believe it is gonna be worse. And we're gonna have to adapt some way, somehow, because the future basically looks like that. Most people are gonna have roommates or cellmates, whatever you wanna call it, and they're gonna share the rooms. When you're not in your room, somebody else is gonna be there, and somebody else is gonna use it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You're not gonna have a house, you're not gonna have a car, you're gonna rent a car just for some times when you need it. It's like a taxi, basically, an Uber. And yeah, that's the economy they want to create. Why? Well, mostly because of climate change. I'm not a climate change denier, okay, let's just say that. I believe it is real, but unfortunately the decisions that the people in power are making are not very good, and I don't think they're in the best interest of, people. Because of how the economy works. There's another concept that it's quite funny. It's about how economy seems to be, the thing about boomers and all of that. Let's first say this. I don't blame boomers for the current state of the economy, okay? Some people are not going to understand why, but I'm going to explain, okay? I'm going to explain my point. My point here is that this... Of course, I mean that there were some mistakes before, but whatever. The thing is basically that the people in power nowadays are pushing this agenda because of climate change, mostly. So they want to reduce CO2 emissions. I don't think it's a boomer thing because, before, they weren't thinking about that. I think if you could say something, it's not about the boomers themselves, but some boomers. Like the boomers that were in charge, because workers, it's mostly obvious that they're just gonna do the minimum to survive and all of that. But before there was no concerns about climate change, and that's why the economy was thriving. Also, I believe there is a kind of resonance with how growth and the population growth as well. You see this thing nowadays that population is basically, fertility rates are decreasing and we're not having children. Well, I think that also basically because of how the economic system works and how the fiat money works, I think it is also creating effects on the economy. Basically the population growth creates effects on the economy. If you have a big population growth, it creates a boom in the economy as well, and everything thrives and everything's great. But if you don't have that, the economy is stagnating because you don't have enough people to sustain the pensions and the system. My theory or hypothesis in this case is that the fiat money, the dollar, works like a kind of Ponzi scheme, and money is created out of thin air, with the printers. Of course, it's not exactly like that, but you understand the point. And thanks to that, it's like a Ponzi scheme. Younger people usually earn less, but not only because you have less experience, or you don't have X amount of years of experience, so you are not enough. I think that's gaslighting, because a lot of times, and a lot of people is gonna agree with me on that, mostly, young people, because they know that a lot of times other people are not better than you doing things. Sometimes you're a lot better, you're basically doing their job, but you earn a lot less. Why? Because you don't have X amount of years of experience. But that's ridiculous, and this has been working for a long time, and it works like that, I believe, mostly because of the fiat system and how it works nowadays, because like older people tend to earn more because of the experience, quote unquote experience, but it's not because of experience, it's because they've been basically working for longer, and it kind of incentivizes the investment and all of that, because investment usually it's a long-term thing. I know some people don't do that, but even Warren Buffett thinks that investment in short term is gambling. I believe that's gambling. Some people are not gonna agree with me, but that's okay, it's my opinion. What I think is that investment, it's always a long-term thing, and it's very deeply related to how this fiat system works and how the money works. So to conclude this video, I want you to think more about how we live in a roomy economy, and we're headed for an even worse roomy economy, and how things are gonna change, because they're gonna change no matter what you do, no matter what you think or what you believe. Things are the way they are, and they're gonna be the way they are because of factors. Even if you don't believe in them, if they're there, they're real, they're gonna be there. So I think we should prepare for that, but mostly I think we should be aware of this and try to change things. But we have to take into account that it's very related to climate change. It's very related to trying to solve that issue, but it's at the expense of young people. Young people. So okay, I hope that this video has helped you gain some insights on this matter. I hope that at least you have got some new thoughts about this stuff, and I don't know, just write that down, comment, share your thoughts. I would be glad to read your comments, and just share some ideas on what is happening, because honestly, as many of you, I am as well very concerned about this, and I think people need to know this. So if you can share this video with people that you think are interested and would appreciate this kind of ideas to be listening to this kind of podcast, please share it, and we'll see in the next video.